Hello again, vinyl community. This is Daniel, otherwise known as Age of Analog on YouTube, Twitter, eBay, Etsy, probably a few other places. Wanted to do the Vinyl Tag 2019 video. This is my second vinyl community video. I did Omaha Introverts 1000 subs contest last week, a little late. But wanted to go ahead and do the Vinyl Tag 2019 video. I'll try to keep this fairly short. I know everybody's are coming in around 20, 25, 30 minutes, and that's a lot. Anyway, I'll try to get it done a little bit quicker than that. I printed it off so I could remember all this stuff. First off, they were asking for best vinyl find of 2018. About 3 months ago, I went out about 100 miles out of town to make a record buy from a Facebook seller, scammer, I don't know what you'd call them. Anyway, I drove all that way, waited around for a couple hours. They never showed up, they never contacted me, and then they took their ad off of Facebook. So I don't know if they sold it before I could get there and they were just rude, or somebody was scamming me to get me to drive 100 miles out of town, maybe another record collector. I hate to think that, but who knows. Anyway, on my way home, I stopped at a little town about halfway back. I knew they had some thrift stores. Stopped in a couple thrift stores, didn't find anything. Went to a flea market, and there was a booth at the flea market that had quite a few records, and they were all $1. I bought, I don't know, probably 10 to 15 records, all for $1. One of which was this one, Steely Dan's Asia, I think is the way you pronounce that. Been a big Steely Dan fan for years. I know this record is kind of an audiophile delight, can be. There's different versions, there's different pressings. I found out after coming home and cleaning this one, not only is it in excellent condition, but it's like the very earliest first pressing on ABC Records, and it sounds incredible. I've heard very few other records that make my stereo sound this good, so this is one if somebody comes over to the house and wants to know, hey, what does vinyl sound like? Hard to beat this one. Second is shout out to other VC channels who deserve more viewers. I probably haven't watched as many VC videos as I should. I've been really busy. My job ended yesterday, so we were closing out our facility, and I've been working a lot of hours. Plus, I've also been trying to sort through all the records I've bought recently. I hope to open a record store here in a couple of months here in town. So I got a lot of work to do. I haven't watched as much YouTube as I'd like to. I plan on watching more videos and commenting on them. One in particular that I've watched a couple of his videos recently, he's only got a few. Digital Gramophone, John. Very self-deprecating humor. He does a lot of subtitles on his videos that are worth the price of admission alone. He's very entertaining, very clever, and has great taste in music, which, of course, great taste in music means he likes a lot of the same stuff I do, so, you know, there's that. Also, the Irving Park Vinyl Review. Watched a few of his videos. He's an interesting chap, and recommend you check him out. I've watched a lot of other people's stuff, unfortunately probably mostly the more popular ones, simply because they come up in my suggestions all the time, so those are the ones I usually get around to watching first. I do need to watch more, and I do need to comment on more people's videos. Third, it says, what holes are you looking to fill in your vinyl collection in the upcoming year? I've got so many records to go through right now. I shouldn't really buy any more for myself. I've been buying mainly to resell. I would like to replace some Zeppelin records that I have that aren't in the best condition with some better copies. Also, I would like to get more Queen. I've only got a couple. And more Beatles and Stones as well. I've only got a few of each of those. I would like to get some more. I'm always on the lookout for all kinds of stuff. I tend to records tend to find me more than me seeking them out, I think, at least at this point. So yeah, I got a lot of work to do. I got a couple thousand records that need to be cleaned and cataloged and sleeved and taken out of boxes, and anyway, I'm busy with records. 4, a cheap album that's really good. I showed this in a previous video. A lot of her stuff tends to be in thrift stores, dollar bins. She's a fantastic artist. I have bought a couple of copies of Linda Ronstadt's Heart Like a Wheel for $1. If you see a copy of this and it's a clean one, grab it, because it's a fantastic record, and honestly, it's a crime that these are in dollar bins. Anyway, check this one out if you get a chance. The next question is your favorite side project album. Obviously, the Crosby, Stills, and Nash guys came all from other bands, came together to form Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and then later Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. All of them broke off again to do solo projects. Probably the only one that actually did another band with a band name besides just solo material might be Stephen Stills. He formed a band called Manassas right after leaving Crosby, Stills, and Nash for a while, and they put out 2 records and toured a couple of times, I think. But this double album from, I think, 73 or 74, this is the first of the 2 Manassas records. This is just a spectacular record, and it's sad that it took me this many years to discover it and listen to it, because from beginning to end, it's just an incredible record, and honestly, I think it's some of Stephen Stills' best songwriting, best singing, best guitar playing. The musicians that he surrounds himself with are all just top-notch talented people, and some great videos on YouTube of them performing as well. But as far as side projects go from popular bands, doesn't get much better than this one. So that's a keeper for sure. The next one, whoops, dropped my paper on the floor. The next one was let's see, it says a song from an artist or band that is uncharacteristic of their catalog. Hannah showed this one also, and this was the one I had in mind before I even watched her video, so I'm going to go ahead and use it too, because it's just the first thing that came to mind. Nazareth Terror the Dog album has a cover of Love Hurts, which was a big hit for them. Might have been their biggest hit, actually, which is a cover. It was originally done by the Everly Brothers, later done by Graham Parsons and Emmylou Harris, probably a few other people over the years, but Nazareth's most popular song is very not typical of the rest of their material. So yeah, that's the one I'm going with for that. Record I bought most recently. I did a bulk buy a few days ago of some records from a guy, but I won't really pick anything out of that because it's scattershot all kinds of different things. The last one that I sought out and bought myself, I got this one from Amazon last week, a couple days after it came out. This is Linda Ronstadt's Live in Hollywood. Hard to believe after her long career and all the studio albums. This is the first live album that she's made, and the reason it took so long was this was an HBO special from 1980, and the audio tapes were actually misplaced and discovered very recently through some interesting circumstances, which you can read about online. But this is her first and only live record, and it is absolutely incredible. Performances on here, the sound quality, the musicians, and to top it all off, it's mastered by Bernie Grundman, and that guy is an absolute mastering engineer, master. So if you get a chance, check this out. $20, well worth the money, well worth the wait. Anyway, next thing was a great album with a bad cover. I picked two. One of which I've had this record for years. Edgar Winter Group, They Only Come Out at Night. This is a killer record. Great sounding, great songs, great musicians, a lot of fun. Just a classic rock album, and ends up Frankenstein's the last track. Most people know that one. I would imagine there's probably a few people over the years that saw this record in the record store and went, "Oh my God, I'm not buying this." Anyway, yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to say anything more about that one. Second one was Joe Cocker's With a Little Help from My Friends. This is also another record I've had for a long time. Great live record with his touring band. Great songs. Yeah. Probably not the best picture of Joe Cocker. Even though I guess once you see it, you don't forget it. But yeah, kind of scary. Next one was a blues album. I've been into the blues for a long time. I got into the blues early on through kind of the same thing a lot of people got into. British rock bands, British blues bands, Clapton, things like that. I saw Stevie Ray Vaughan live 3 times before he sadly, tragically passed away. This was the first record of his that I bought, Stevie Ray Vaughan and Texas Blood. I think this is his first or second. I think this is his first record. But yeah, this guy was just an incredible person, but incredible musician, singer, songwriter. This is probably my gateway to blues guitar back in the day, and still one of my favorite records. And anyway, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Double Trouble, Texas Blood. Next one was an Earworm song. Oh, I skipped one. Bad Album with a Cool Cover. I looked through all my stuff. I couldn't think of anything. I was just absolutely stumped on that, so I skipped it. Sorry. Anyway. An Earworm song. I discovered this song off of the Eurythmics. Can't remember the name of this record. Oh, Be Yourself Tonight, sorry. There's a song on here called I Love You Like a Ball and Chain, which has a effect on it. It's kind of a stereo Doppler effect thing. If you listen to it sitting between stereo speakers or even with headphones on, it's better with speakers. Not only does it shift from left to right at one point in the song, it actually feels like it's going around your head. And it's an effect that they use, I don't know, I'm sure somebody did it before them, but it's very effective. They use the pitch changes from high to low as it goes from left to right, which also gives you an impression of distance. Pretty freaky track. Anyway, I was pretty addicted to it for a while, listening to it, showing it, making other people sit down and listen to it. It got stuck in my head. I think I was hearing this song in my sleep for a while, a couple of months ago. But yeah, if you get a chance, you can hear it on streaming services, but it's better on vinyl. I Love You Like a Ball and Chain. It's a great record all the way around. Next was a historically important artist. I thought about going with the Beatles, but that's just too obvious, or the Stones, or Cream, or a lot of other bands, Zeppelin, The Who, whatever. The one I picked, and I make this argument to people all the time, maybe even more so than the Beatles, I think Black Sabbath probably influenced more people to start a band in their garage than maybe any other band. Black Sabbath seemed to just come out of nowhere in 1969, and they released, I think, their first 3 or 4 records in less than 2 years. Paranoid's their 3rd record. It's my favorite, personally. Got War Pigs, Paranoid, Planet Caravan, Iron Man, Electric Funeral, Hand of Doom, Rat Salad, Fairies Wear Boots. I mean, this is a classic record that a lot of people tried to copy this sound, and I don't think anybody ever has. This is about as good as it gets right here. An album that you own because of your parents. My mom and dad both my mom had a lot of records when I was a kid, mostly country crooner stuff, and she took very, very poor care of them, so I have very few of them. Um, Inherited a few records from my grandparents as well, but when my dad passed away about 2 years ago, he left me over 1,000 records, and I'm still going through all of them. One thing in particular, he shopped dollar bins at Goodwill and stuff, mainly for something to do. I don't think he even played hardly any of his records. He lived in a tiny apartment and watched mainly sports. He collected these, I think, for something to do more than anything. One record that was in his collection that I found really, really funny, that for one, I found it funny that he bought it. Two, I found it funny that it just exists, but it's a fairly big collector's item and worth a decent amount of money, and this one is in good shape, and kind of one of my prized possessions that belonged to my dad. It's Leonard Nimoy presents Mr. Spock's Music from Outer Space, and this record is absolutely hilarious. It's spacey, swirling, weird music and strange sound effects with Leonard Nimoy's commentary over the top of it in the voice of Mr. Spock. I mean, it literally is exactly what you think it's going to be. But yeah, this is it's quite the find. Next is best dollar bin find. I've been shopping dollar bins and or thrift store bins for a couple of years now, looking for records, and I found quite a few things that were things that I wanted, surprising finds, records that were worth 10, 20, 30, even 50 or $60. The one that shocked me the most, that I knew when I flipped through it that even if it wasn't in the best condition, I was going to buy it. And luckily, it turns out it's actually in pretty decent condition. It's not perfect. Somebody had this and played it, but they took decent care of it. The Buckingham Nicks record that they did right before they joined Fleetwood Mac. It's a great record. It sounds really good, and I paid $1 for it. And it's probably, even in this condition, because it's a very, very early Polydor pressing. This actually was released and pressed before they were in Fleetwood Mac, so this wasn't a reissue that came out after people knew who they were because of Fleetwood Mac. So somebody bought this that liked this record even before they knew they were in Fleetwood Mac, so that makes it kind of special also. And I don't know, in this condition it's probably worth $50-$60, but that's a solid find. Favorite double album, just to make this easy. I could have picked something like Beatles' White Album, Led Zeppelin Physical Graffiti, maybe a live record like Little Feat's Waiting for Columbus. But I'm going to pick this Stephen Stills Manassas record again, simply because it's a double record. I love all four sides. Each side has kind of a thematic unity to it. You got one that's straight up rock and roll songs, you got one that's more like country, you got one that's almost like a folk, and then you have one that's just like really a rocker side. And side three's even got kind of a thematic unity to it, where one song kind of goes into the next. And I just think it's a brilliant record and a great listen. And anytime I put it on, I almost always listen to side one, side two, side three, side four, just because I can't get enough of it. So that's my pick for double record. A record I learned about from the VC last year. Very recently, actually, I watched the Irving, oh man, I can't read my own writing, the Irving Park Vinyl Review. I can't remember the guy's name. Hopefully he'll see this, I'm sorry. But he mentioned a Bobby Charles record. And I checked that out online. It's really good. The band, which I'm a big fan of, all the members of the band except for Robbie Robertson participated in that record also. So that was an interesting find I didn't know anything about, and that's something I found out from the VC, so I'm thankful for that. The next one is a 10-inch record. I don't have very many 10-inch records, but I did win a Twitter contest from Blue Note about 2 years ago. It was basically, I think it was basically just retweet this for your chance to win was a package of 9 Blue Note records, 10 inches, from their catalog, and I think maybe 20 people retweeted this because I guess not that many people followed them. And about 2 months later, I got a notification through Twitter that I had won. They asked for my address, and I got a box of 10-inch Blue Note records. All re-releases, of course, but they are very, very well done. And I've opened and listened to most of them. There's a couple of them I haven't, but they're all, you know, Blue Note artists. This one I really, really like, and the sound is fantastic. This is called Young Man with a Horn, and it's early Miles Davis on Blue Note, and it's 10-inch. And anyway, that's my 10-inch record. 7-inch, I have a lot of 7-inch records. I inherited probably, I don't know, 600 or 700, 800 from my dad, and I've got maybe another 100 that I've had over the years and that belong to my mom. Stuff in my dad's collection, a lot of it's not in the best condition. Looks almost like it was like jukebox records because they're pretty banged up. But one that I've had that I actually purchased myself new many years ago, back in 1984 or 85, there was a Led Zeppelin single, and it was Hey Hey What Can I Do? And it was only available at the time, because this is before CDs and the internet and all that jazz. The only way it was available was as a B-side single to Immigrant Song, and I bought this 45 at my local record store back then, and it's a Japanese pressing. I think I paid $4 for it, and it's been in the sleeve and in the shrink or the plastic ever since, and you can see it's all yellowed. But it's still in like new condition, probably only been played a few times, and I don't know, it's worth maybe $20 at this time. I think they must have made a couple million of them. I would have thought it'd be worth more 30-something years later, but anyway, that's one of my prized 7-inch records. Favorite album to fall asleep to? I used to do that a lot in high school and college, not so much anymore. But one of the ones I used to like to put on back in the day, and it wasn't on a record, I think I had it on 8-track or cassette back then, just because it was a mellow kind of record that got kind of maybe a little more exciting in the middle and then mellowed off again at the end, and it was just a good sounding kind of wind down at the end of the day record. Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. Like I said, I don't listen to music going to sleep anymore. I got too many fans running to hear music. But anyway, that's first one that came to mind. Favorite VC experience and or advice for people contemplating making videos. Just do it. I probably think about this stuff too much, camera, angle, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you want to just make a video from beginning to end with no edits, or if you want to add special effects or commentary, whatever you want to do, just get in the mix and do it and have a good time and introduce yourself to everybody. That's what we're here for. Anyway, that's it for the Vinyl Tag 2019. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you want to, and check y'all out later. Peace.